You're looking at a wonderful tradition in Chicago. It's CAIR's Chicago Taste of Ramadan. This is from last year. CAIR is the Council on American Islamic Relations, and Ramadan, probably most Americans who are not Muslims, they may know that it's a month of fasting, but beyond that, there's not so much that's known. We're going to change that today, but here you see the preparations. There's going to be the evening prayers, but after the long day of fasting, then comes iftar. There's the meal. And if you look closely, and we don't want to deal in stereotypes, but you will see that there are people from all around the world, from all sorts of religions, and here they are sharing the evening meal, the breaking of the fast. And what this does, if I can editorialize for a minute, is it breaks down some of the barriers between us, depending on nationality, depending upon our religion. It's all a way to discover that, at least for Jews and for Christians and for Muslims, we all pray to the same God. Our religions all descend from Abraham. As we come back to the set here, we'll wish you good Sunday morning and let you know that this program, we're devoting it to Ramadan, what it is, its significance. The reality is that if one lives here in Southern California, Muslims are not them. Muslims are us. They are our neighbors. They are our friends, our co-workers, members of our family. So we cannot, in this living here in Southern California, we cannot afford to think about an observance as important as Ramadan as something that affects other people. It's part of our lives as well, no matter what God, or even if we do not pray to a God, no matter what God we pray to, it's all part of our lives. With that prelude, it's a pleasure to welcome to today's program, beginning here, Amira Al-Sharaf. She is the head of school at New Horizons in Pasadena. Our other guest is Yusuf Lee. He is youth coordinator with the Islamic Center of Southern California.
Yes.
As we pre-record this program on Thursday, it's 1:15 in the afternoon. You have not eaten, either of you have eaten or drank since?
No breakfast, no lunch.
Since dawn?
Since dawn, right.
And you will break the fast at sunset?
About 8:09 is the time we do that.
What is it like for you? And I know it's not just having an empty stomach.
Well, you're absolutely right, and I think sometimes we get too focused on the food and drink aspect of Ramadan. But Ramadan is about a chance to sort of rejuvenate and renew your spirit and your soul, and taking you away from that bodily obsession, which I think we have a lot of food, is a really great way to do that. And I think for me, one of the things I enjoy most is the chance to appreciate the blessings that we have. When you break your fast, there's nothing quite like that first bite of food, that first drink of water after a 16-hour fasting day. But it really gives you a true sense of appreciation of what we have. And sometimes being away from things makes us appreciate them in a greater way.
Now, you're surrounded by children at school all day. How do they deal with this? Some of them may not have to comply with all of the rules?
Yes. Fasting is not required of the very young, the very old, the sick, the traveler, pregnant or nursing women, and yet the kids all are excited to be part of it. They want to fast, and sometimes we have to discourage them because they are young for it. But it's also just a chance for them to see that it's not just about deprivation, but it's about praying more, and then I don't know if you want to touch on that aspect of it, but the part of fasting which is fasting from anger and impatience, and so everyone can participate even though they might not be fasting from food.
This is a time, as Amira says, we maybe devote too much time to the fasting part of it, but this is also a time of inward-looking reflection, no?
Absolutely. Self-reflection is a major component of Ramadan. In fact, and self-conscious of all of your actions. The scholars of Islam identified what they call the 7 gates to the heart. And each of the gates, and the stomach is actually just one of those gates. The tongue, the hands, the eyes, the ears, the mind. These are the other gates. And during Ramadan, it's really, I suppose the word fasting doesn't quite capture it. It should maybe be like conscious, voluntary abstinence, you know, and that seems to capture it a little bit better, because it is to be aware of what you're looking at, what you're listening to, what your hands are doing, where your feet are taking you, and to look at how close you are to your Lord. And to really, that's a time of reflection.
As I listen to you, I have the impression that on one hand there's this deprivation, but on the other hand, the deprivation leads to a richness, a fullness.
Right. I really liked one scholar put it. He said, starving the body allows the body to be second place for once in the human being's life. As Inara just said, we tend to live our lives, it's natural to, the body is really in control of how we dictate our lives. And when you purposefully, voluntarily push these bodily needs and desires to second place, then it allows the permanent self to be nourished by something else. And this is, so a lot of people will forget that aspect of it and look at it as a hardship. But if you have the right intentions, it's not a hardship at all.
Exactly. And the time of reflection, are you looking at the life that you have lived over the past year? Looking at the surroundings, maybe people who are less fortunate than you are?
Absolutely. I think one of the other aspects of this, some people will often say that fasting builds a sensitivity to the plight of others who are less fortunate. And that's definitely true. What's interesting is we break our fast, we get to look forward to breaking our fast, while there are others that we know continue to be deprived, not by choice, but by necessity or whatever their circumstances are. So Ramadan is a time actually for greater generosity. It is important for us to think beyond ourselves and not just about what amazing meal are we going to get to have for the evening, but how can we give more, either in money to organizations. A lot of the mosques around Southern California, you're going to see opening their doors with free meals for people, so that people can look at that. One of the organizations puts together a humanitarian day where they offer health services for the homeless and other kinds of activities. When my children were growing up, we used to take them, we used to make meals ourselves and take them to downtown or hygiene kits or that kind of thing, because it is a chance to think beyond us and our needs.
Could we briefly put it into perspective? Ramadan, the month is also symbolizes, it has a connection with the Quran.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Either
the lines, and there's actually, interestingly, in the Quran, the fasting of the month of Ramadan is actually only mentioned one time, which is interesting because about 90+% of Muslims, no matter how much they've practiced throughout the 11 months, tend to just drop everything and you know, engage in this month. And the first, it has a series of stages of why Ramadan is special, and the first one is that the Quran came down in this month. So it's absolutely, a lot of scholars will rank it number one, that it's not, that fasting is second or third. It's really reconnecting with the book.
And again, briefly, because we need to take a commercial break, but Ramadan is one of the pillars of Islam.
Correct. It is supposedly the fourth pillar, although they are all equal in importance. And it is an important part of your worship.
And the others being?
The first is the declaration of your faith, shahada. Second is prayer or salat. Third is charity or zakat. Fourth is fasting or saum. And fifth is hajj or pilgrimage to Mecca.
in every Muslim, it's at least